Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I see some familiar names here. Welcome to our today's session, which is about for operations. So if you're ready, we can start. Allow me to share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen very well. Okay, so sometimes I'm gonna check our chat box just in case if you have any questions. So let me introduce myself first. And I'm Parvana, originally from Azerbaijan. And I'm a qualified primary teacher and working as an IB educator for over a decade. And I worked as an IB PYP educator in quality international schools in Southeast Asia. And currently working at International Sharing School, Tagush Park, as a grade 5 homeroom teacher, classroom teacher, and PYP mathematics homeroom teacher. So, can we start? Please introduce yourselves in our chat box, and you can tell me where are you now, if it is evening, if it is afternoon, if it is morning. So I can read your messages. And we can take a moment, so you can write, where are you now? What are you doing? And we can start. While you're writing your messages in our chat box, I want to tell you that this session will be only 45 minutes, but we will have 3 different sessions related to basic operations in Singapore mathematics and how we do it. We will also talk about a little bit classroom practices. So, okay, I don't see anything in our webinar chat box. Please feel free to drop any questions that you have. I'll read it. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna ask them to activate our chat box. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna ask them to activate the chat box, please, for everyone. Okay, perfect. Hi, Anshu, welcome. How's everything in India? Perfect. So today's, hi, Rita. Hi, Luis. And perfect. So we can start. I want to make it like a collaborative meeting. So please, if you have any questions, drop your questions here so we can actually collaborate. So today's learning outcomes we'll talk about the nature of Singapore mathematics, why it's special, what makes it special. And of course, we'll talk about how addition and subtraction work, let's say hand in hand, in Singapore mathematics and how we deliver them. So I'll need your opinion, your collaboration too, please. Do not hesitate to share your opinion. Okay, so I'll ask you guys, please drop your ideas and the role of mathematics in primary education. What is the role of mathematics in primary education? I'm sure we all are, I'm assuming we all are primary educators, primary teachers. So I'd like to know your opinion about the role of mathematics in primary education. So what is the purpose of us teaching mathematics? How should we do that? Is there any right there's no wrong way, always right ways, but any effective way. And we deliver all those mathematical concepts in our classroom. So what is the role of mathematics in primary education? Please drop your ideas. So what I'm thinking is, so we need to actually deliver the idea of and the importance of basic numeracy, and then logical reasoning, problem solving skills in mathematics class. And as you may know, those skills are not specific for mathematics classroom. So in many other disciplines, we need all those problems. So even if you are doing science-oriented unit, or if you're doing social studies-oriented units, still you can integrate mathematics. So students actually acquire important basic numeracy skills in those disciplines as well. So this is how we define the role of mathematics in primary education. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, so what do you think? What is your opinion about that? So what we aim as a primary educator. So primary mathematics aims to enable all students acquire mathematical concepts and skills for everyday use, for continuum learning in mathematics, not just, okay, that is a single subject and we come, we teach and we leave, and there are many students unlearning and leaving behind. So how you do that? How you unblock students' mathematical knowledge, or help them unblock their mathematical understanding, or developing their thinking, reasoning, communication, or application, or metacognition skills through mathematical approach to problem solving. So how do you solve problems in the classroom? Okay, you have problem solving, or you use different methods. If you are applying or implementing Singapore mathematics, you're using certain strategies to solve the problems. But how do you do in your classroom? Or how do you build confidence? Or how do you foster interest and curiosity in mathematics class? Not everyone loves mathematics, right? I can tell you that. I'm a teacher, being in the classroom over a decade. I can tell you that not everyone is fond of mathematics. They don't like it, and they have this anxiety. They're always anxious. What do you think? May I please ask you, drop your ideas and everything in our chat box about it. So primary mathematics aims to enable students mathematical concepts and skills. How do you do? And which strategies do you use? Please drop your ideas in our chat box. So I can wait a moment so you can write it. I will read it. Okay, Anshu, beautiful. Logical reasoning and excited my students. Okay, how do you do that? How do you implement this? Which strategies do you use? Okay, using manipulatives, beautiful. Yes, absolutely, we use manipulatives and engage students, right? Beautiful, of course. And so using, again, I'm gonna come to that part, using manipulatives will be the concrete part of delivering concrete part of concepts. So you use the manipulatives and you actually deliver the concept. Provocation, yes. So Rita, what can I tell you about that is we use anchor tasks at the beginning of class. Just to move on, Anshu, it's like a warm-up activity. So we use anchor tasks, and you start your provocation. It can be math talk, it can be a concept talk with your students. So what we do is we use anchor tasks. Yes, CPA approach, and concrete, pictorial, and of course the last stage will be the abstract. We'll talk about that. Perfect. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Beautiful. All right. So nature of mathematics. So what I would, when we are reading anything or any article related to delivering mathematics concept in the classroom or having a collaboration with other colleagues all around the world. So what I often hear is the approach is to mathematics class is always single subject. So I always like, why single subject? Because we can make mathematics parts of the other disciplines or other way around. So why we are making it as a single discipline? So yeah, mathematics can be described as the study of properties, relationships, operations, algorithm, applications of numbers, space, and concepts at the more advanced level when we are talking about arithmetic and so on and so forth. So this is the nature of mathematics, and I strongly believe the nature of mathematics fits in any discipline. What do you think? How do you integrate? This is just a questions I'm asking you guys during our reflection time. I will ask you to share your opinion as well. So how do we actually integrate our maths concept throughout the disciplines? Okay, I'll move forward. So I don't know why the quality of picture is not good. So we have, if you look at this diagram, we are talking about, okay, mathematical objects, or you can talk about it is the mathematical object is the thing that you are delivering in the classroom. So it is properties and relationships, presentations and communication, abstraction, application, operations, and algorithm. These are the components all together makes our math classes inquiry-based and truly interesting, and we can hook their students' attention. How? So actually, what are the properties of mathematical concepts and then how they are related? Although we are talking about operations in those 3 sessions that will be happening, and we know that they are very related, they're very connected, and we are not teaching addition and subtraction separately than multiplication and division. Yeah, of course, as we may know, Singapore mathematics curriculum is a spiral designed curriculum that we always talk about concept each and every grade level in different let's say difficulty. However, we are not separating them, and we are always finding a way to connect them as students to make connections between all those concepts. And then how can the mathematical objects and concepts to be presented and communicated within the beyond the discipline? Yes, yeah, but I understand as a teacher, it's not always possible to integrate mathematics each and every subject or each and every unit that you deliver in the classroom. However, it is not preventing us to do inquiry-based mathematics. Still, we can do inquiry-based mathematics. Still, we can talk about the concept. Again, I'll ask your opinion about that. So how can the mathematical objects and concepts be presented and communicated within and beyond the discipline? Or what meaningful actions can we perform on the mathematical objects, and how do we carry with them? And how can mathematical objects be further abstracted, and where can we where can they be applied? So I have students asking me, and they, of course, apparently they don't like mathematics, and then they're asking, why do I need this? Why do I need this? And the other day I shared one of my experience that happened to me, and I explained, listen, just missing the concept of symmetry, and it happened to me, to my family. It's a real life example. In a barber shop, if the hairdresser doesn't have this concept, symmetry, they will mess up with your hair. So we need mathematics everywhere. And so how well actually we are nurturing the idea of mathematical concepts that implementation or usage of mathematics concepts in different disciplines, or do you use any real-life examples? Could you please share your opinion in our chat box so I can read your answers or replies, please? Choose one question and please go ahead, drop your ideas. So what are the properties of mathematical concepts and how they are related? So how mathematical concepts are related? How do you teach addition, and how do you relate addition and multiplication? How do you relate division and subtraction? How do you relate fractions? How do you relate decimals, percentage, or rate? All of those. How do you relate that in your classroom? Okay. I'll wait a moment again if you add your opinion or anything in the chat box. Okay, using bar model. How do you use Lewis bar model, and how do you relate bar model? So which question you're actually answering? Let me see. Concepts represent. Okay, we can talk about the concept, the representation of the concepts. Yes, using bar models. So absolutely, bar model is one of the key feature in Singapore Maths that we always use. They can use bar models in geometry that we are right now using. So perfect. Thank you, Luis, so much. And then big idea. I love it. Concept. Big ideas express ideas that are central to mathematics. They appear in different topics and strands, obviously, across the levels, and they bring coherence and they connect across different topics and strands. Yes. Okay, Luis, I'm going to read to explain fractions. We use drawings and representations. Absolutely. And of course, you can also use lots of manipulatives when you're talking about fractions. Perfect. Yes, they can link fractions, decimals, and percent. Perfect. Thank you, Luis, for the extra explanation. Beautiful. All right. So we have 5 interrelated components in Singapore mathematics: concepts, skills, processes, metacognition, and attitude. So what happened before the implementation of Singapore mathematics? Before we explaining to our students what are our expectations from them. So if you're doing any word problem, if you're doing any activities with them, they would always bring the answer. This is the answer that I found. Check my answer if my answer is true or if it is not. So we were trying to explain that, no, we actually, teachers, prefer checking the process. How did you get there? Actually, not the answer, but the way. How did you get there? How did you implement your skills that you learned it? And how did you understand the concept? So these are the interrelated components, and very important 5 components in Singapore mathematics. Is one of the features that makes Singapore mathematics very, very special. And if you look at it here, concepts, skills, processes, metacognition, and the attitude, and belief, appreciation, confidence, motivation, interest, and all of those. If we go back and check, actually, where can I fit those things, those features, beliefs, appreciation, confidence? Who can tell me where can I fit this? Which interrelated component I can fit this one? So we have interrelated components. Skills, if you have pen or pencil right next to you, you can take note. Concepts, skills, processes, metacognition, and attitude. These are our interrelated components in Singapore mathematics. And then if you look at here, belief, appreciation, confidence, motivation, interest, and where we can fit this one, in which interrelated component? I'm going back. You can drop your ideas here in chat box. So remember, there's no right or wrong answer. And then awareness, monitoring, regulation of thought process. Where can I fit that one? or understanding of the properties and relationships, operations, and algorithm. Where can I fit that? So in these 5 interrelated components, or proficiency in carrying out operations or algorithm data handling using mathematical tools, or reasoning, representing, communicating, applying, and modeling. Where can I fit all of those? Would you like to drop your ideas in our chat box? Please go ahead if you want to do it. I appreciate your participation. Please go ahead. I'll wait a moment. If you do not have any answers, I'll move forward. I need to check the time. Okay, perfect. So I don't have any answers. I'm moving forward. So power of mathematics in Singapore mathematics. So we're talking about Singapore mathematics and teaching methodology. So which teaching methodology we are using in Singapore mathematics? So first, we explore understanding and knowledge. And how we do that? How we explore understanding and knowledge in Singapore mathematics. In your maths class, please drop your ideas, the routines that you are implementing in your classroom. So how we explore understanding and knowledge, how we construct meaning with them, how we help, which strategies we are actually using in the classroom and helping them to construct meaning. Prior knowledge of a concept. How do you do that? Prior knowledge. In which routines do you have in your classroom to reach out your students' prior knowledge? Perfect. Using an anchor task, make the group think about it. Perfect. So you do the group work, you do the anchor task, you do, I'm sure I love using visible thinking routines in mathematics classroom while doing math talks. So in that way, I actually explore what they know. And so where should I sit? Yes, absolutely. Sitting, wonder, beautiful. Thank you, Anshu. So after constructing meaning, of course, we will use different strategies that I will talk about: bar model, CPA model, all those. Yes, I used to think beautiful. Now I think. So we use all of those routines to construct the meaning, right? And then, of course, we will also talk about transferring meaning. So how they actually relate all those concepts throughout different disciplines. Of course, at the end, applying with understanding. So we have ongoing assessment process going on in the classroom, absolutely. And then you always check back and forth, always back and forth. Okay, perfect. You please go ahead adding your ideas in our chat box. Thank you, Anshu and Luis, being so active. So these are the key features that we are talking about. CPA, concrete pictorial abstract approach. If you look at the visual representation of those key features, and we're talking about number bones, and we're talking about bar modeling, and we're talking about mental math. So concrete pictorial abstract. So how do you start actually? Which one is the first? As you understand, CPA, concrete, using manipulatives, lots of hands-on activities. So I will give a simple example about, since I'm doing POAP 5, grade 5 students, we are actually talking about the area and perimeter of figures. And then I asked, actually students knew that prior knowledge that I reached my student, they actually knew what is the difference between area and perimeter of any figure, any shapes. However, but it was just, we are just talking about rectangles and squares. And once the task was to find the area of a triangle, that was the task. And they needed to come up with the ways or strategy, how you find actually the area of triangle. So we always use concrete. And I can tell you that just using concrete stage, they actually came up with okay, this is maybe the way we can find the area of triangle. And they were very, very sure about it. And their attitude was not unsure. So perfect. So even in concrete stage, your students will be very, very successful. So number bonds, when we are talking about addition, all those basic operations, since we start using this reception and grade 1 at the age of 5, 6, of course, you can use all those strategies, key features, age below 4, age below 5, of course, but that part will be more concrete and pictorial. So when we are actually moving up, leveling up grade 1, grade 2, you already introduce bar model in grade 2. They should have an idea what is a bar model and how can I use bar model and in which concept I can use bar model. So we can go further actually. We went further in grade 5. We used bar model when we were finding the unknown angle in a triangle or unknown angle in a quadrilateral. So you can use actually bar models there. And number bonds, CPA is always, let's say, you can use it always in any grade level, but number bonds and then CPA bar model have to be introduced until grade 2. So they should have the idea of all those features. So students should know about all those key features. Okay, I think I don't have to talk about those features. I'll move forward now. The main part started, it was just the introduction of Singapore mathematics. So the last thing about Singapore mathematics that we actually started from, we actually created, you always pay attention how mathematical concepts are created as a spiral approach. So you have each and every concept, mathematical concept in each grade level, they have it. But how do you develop when students are going up and each grade level? So imagine this as a block, and then those concepts are the blocks. And then when you develop all these curriculum map, and you always think about it, so you still have addition and subtraction in grade 5, but how do you do that? How do you implement? But you also have addition and subtraction in grade 1 too. You introduce multiplication in grade 1, but you also have multiplication in grade 5. You introduce division when you're doing grade 2 or at the end of grade 1, but you still have division in grade 5 too. So this is always spiral. Imagine this as a block. So you always have all those concepts, each grade level, but you always have the different ways to deliver those concepts in, of course, you develop all those outcomes change for each grade. So that is special about Singapore mathematics. And the last thing is when you finish all the stage that you did CPA bar model, you do all the stage. Of course, the last stage will be the mastery level, which you help students to master in their mathematical skills. So that is really, really cool about Singapore mathematics. Today, we will start. What strategies are you using to dive into concept of addition and subtraction? So I shared some strategies that we are using as a team. We are using math talks, we're using anchor tasks, we are using storytelling. I'll ask you guys to drop your opinion in our chat box to share how do you actually, what strategies are you using to dive into the concept of addition and subtraction? I'll give you a minute, so please drop your ideas. I'll wait a moment and then we will continue. I love doing math talks in the classroom, and in that process, I can really see they need to understand mathematics is not only sitting and calculating. They should understand that mathematics is a we can actually discuss maths, right? We can talk about mathematics. It's not just writing, drilling all the time. Okay, word problems using bar modeling. Okay, perfect. What else? Use 3
of them, but primarily anchor tasks. Okay, real life examples, beautiful, real life examples too. Yes, when we were actually, I can tell you that, yeah, beautiful. Okay, real life examples. What else? Anchor tasks. Have you ever used storytelling? How did, if you use this storytelling, how did it go? Okay, so I'll move forward. All right, so I will ask you guys to guess which grade do you think is this equation is taken? Which grade do you think? I use storytelling for non-routine word problems. Okay, what do you mean, Luis, by saying non-routine word problem? Okay, so here we will focus on add without regrouping. Okay, this is one of the strategies that we use while talking about addition. But what did you notice here? What else actually we can do here to make it more clear for students? So they used, let's say, skip counting strategy. So they asked the students. Okay, perfect. Thank you for explanation, Luis. So I asked the question, what is non-routine word problems? Luis is answering the ones without an expected solution or strategy to solve. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so here you actually focus on the process. Am I right, Luis? Please share your ideas. Okay, what do you think we can use here? What do you think? We are talking about add without regrouping, right? So can we use a number line here? Do you think it's a good idea to use a number line while explaining what is adding without grouping? Or can we use manipulate? It's grade 1 and 2. Yes. Actually, this is grade 1, not even 2, grade 1. And we can use number line. Absolutely, we can use number line and we can make it interactive, right? We can make it interactive and we can ask them to jump on it. We can make a huge number line in the classroom and we can ask them skip, and then they use their entire body to do it. And yes, this is how we do. Add without regrouping, and you can find many other. Yes, we can jump on staircase. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And I'll move forward. So again, another addition strategies we're talking about. Simple addition, adding on, of course. So if you noticed that we are first of all talking about, we always start adding on numbers from right to left. This is one thing. And another thing, we are using pictorial part and the abstract part. Pictorial part and abstract part. So I would always prefer using number bond in that point. So that's very important to use the number bond at that age. Oops, sorry, I will, oh my God. Okay. So to understand the concept of addition to, actually they are, when they are using number bond to break up the numbers, so it will help them to develop their mental maths too. And then of course you're using that. I love using all those manipulatives. So you use ones and tens and you break up the numbers. Absolutely, you break up the numbers and students see it. And students are touching all those things, and all of them are hands-on. Okay, and please drop your opinions, ideas, questions if you have. All right, I'll move forward. And then addition with regrouping. So we regroup ones, tens. We again break up the numbers and then we add them. If you pay attention, if you have any opinion, please drop in a chat box. And we use ones, tens, hundreds, the idea ones, tens, hundreds, and we regroup according to that. And why I love these kind of things, because of color code. If you pay attention, color code, so students associate ones in one color, tens another color, and hundreds with another color, and we make their life easier in terms of seeing, letting them to see through color code. Okay, so again, whole and part, number bond, always. Do you use number bond in your classroom? The idea of whole and part. If yes, how do you do that? Please drop your ideas in our chat box. Okay, I'll move on. Again, we are using regrouping without regrouping. Again, we are using number bond to implement actually we deliver the concept of addition using number bond. So students actually break the number 33 up, and we also help them to develop mental maths. Moving forward. And then we can use place value. We can use place value for adding with regrouping. So we actually regroup ones and tens, and we ask them, we regroup them, and then they add up all the numbers. I'm going slowly here. If you have any questions, please go ahead. If you implemented any of those strategies in your classroom, please share your experience. How did it go? Or you say, no, outcome was not that good. So we found out that strategy is working well. Please go ahead, drop your ideas in our chat box. Then word problems. As you may know here, we are using manipulatives. And okay, perfect. Yes, absolutely. And then word problems. We use a bar model, right? And actually, you can use here a storytelling as well. And then they create their bar model. And trust me, if you ask them to create their own bar model, they are so much more creative than us. So they'll create really beautiful bar models. I'll move forward, but remember, they need to know. Okay, hello. May I please ask you to share in English language, or if anybody knows Portuguese or anything, please translate it so we can start. I don't understand Portuguese. Rita, may I please, if you're there, may I please ask you to translate it? Yes, I agree. Really, bar model makes the word problem very easy, and it helps them to see it, right? It helps them to see it. Okay, and now subtraction. Again, when we were talking about creating all those number lines, so we can use it all the time. Either you're doing subtraction or if you're doing addition, and they can use all those number lines, the idea of skip counting or backward and forward, counting back or counting forward. It will help them to see the numbers, and it is super hands-on. And then simple subtraction. So they need to know all those vocabulary, take away related to subtraction. So we always make sure that this is another thing. We always make sure that students are well aware of all those vocabularies. So it's not, okay, add or subtract, but what if student sees take away instead of subtract? So how do you actually support your kids in terms of vocabulary? Do really they understand all those vocabulary when you're talking about mathematics, right? And do you use specific vocabulary to explain it? I'll read our chat box. Yes, bar model, this makes word problems so easy for them to solve. Absolutely, I agree. And vocabulary, you're also using vocab board. And yes, okay, word walls, you're using word walls to make it to make them to see. Instead of subtract, we can use take away, or we can use minus, or instead of add, we can use plus. Whatever vocabulary you teach them, and you always expand this vocabulary. Okay, sorry. I don't know, today my laptop is so fast. Okay, and then we will use without regrouping, and they need to see the different variety. So another thing I love about Singapore Maths and all those addition and subtraction strategies that we use in the classroom, they need to know all the methods that we are using in the classroom. That is not a surprise. We need to offer variety of activities to them. I've heard many times from students saying, oh, my teacher never taught this to me, which is not true. I'm sure teacher did taught, but maybe we didn't offer many variety, so students are not aware of that kind of variety. So we need to offer students many variety. That is the reason we have regrouping, grouping, without regrouping, with regrouping. So we offer students many opportunities and allow them to apply. That's where we go metacognition, one of the key features. And that is where we support their metacognitions, develop their metacognitions. So we have to offer this variety to our students. I'm going to check our chat box again. During creating story sums, we ask them to use math vocab. Yes, absolutely. And not even grade 5 and 4, in grade 1 or in reception or in grade even lower levels, we need to ask them. We need to encourage them to use those math language, let's say. Okay, I'll move forward. Again, without regrouping. That is the main point, to actually introduce many varieties to our students. So how well they understand. If they see this equation, in what ways they will find it, because what we say, there's no one way in maths when we solve the problem, right? There might be many other ways. So that's why we are learning about subtract with grouping, without grouping, all those varieties, we introduce them. Same here, and subtracting tens from a number, counting back in tens. Always make sure that as a teacher, we always use those language. We pay attention, place value when we are talking about without regrouping or with regrouping. When we are talking about particular things, we need to make sure that we have an appropriate vocab to introduce or to explain it to students. So then they will take it, they will follow us. And if we make it routine in our classroom, they will follow it. Same, they're using subtraction without regrouping. And if you explain them working groups and step by step, explaining all of them. And one thing I want to tell you, when we were doing these Singapore Maths workshops, to become a trained Singapore mathematics teachers, I remember our workshop leader was telling us always what comes first. When you plan your lesson, what comes first? Whole group. You start with your whole group. That is very important, to start with a whole group. So when we plan our class, whatever concept you're gonna deliver, doesn't matter, you always do it whole group. That is the first step, whole group activity. And then to make it visual, you always talk about the pictorial part. Of course, abstract is always at the end. So you allow them to explore concrete part, allow them to explore pictorial part, encourage them to create posters. There are many ways to do so. And subtract with regrouping. Of course, again, you're talking about ones and tens, always addition, subtraction, and place value. All those number sense are super connected, and you ask them to regroup the number. Of course, then they will break down the number. Obviously, bar model, again, we actually use the same strategies, and we introduce, as you mentioned in our chat box, we use bar models, and it makes them to comprehend easily, to understand easily. I'm checking the chat box. I really want to find that part that you shared with me. I think it was Luis or someone else shared. Yes, it helps them to comprehend all those maths concepts. Okay, I'll ask you guys, if you have any questions, please drop your questions in our chat box. I'm ready to answer your questions. Please let me know. Thank you so much for your participation in our session. I'll be looking forward to your collaboration in April, 10th April. We will have division and multiplication. I really want to see you there too. Any questions or any takeaways, or please share in our chat box. So I'll wait a minute, then I'll end our session. Okay. No questions? All right. So I'm going to end our session. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful afternoon. I think in India, it is already evening. And thank you for your time, and thank you for being here. See you on 10 April. Bye-bye.